Scripture reading today taken from Genesis 26, 23 to 25. Then he went up from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him in the same night and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendant for my servant Abraham's sake. So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. And he pitched his tent there. There's Isaac's servant dug as a well. This is the word of God. Amen. Sharon Oil will please spell it with the anthem.
Hallelujah. Welcome to the house of the Lord on the blessed day of our Lord. And does the grace of God still amaze you? Amen. And I believe the grace of God never disappoints and always is with us. Still amazes us every day. Amen. And let us give thanks and celebrate on this beautiful day of the Lord, the day of blessing, thinking about God's grace that He has given us over this entire year, 2018, and looking forward to the grace that He will give us in 2019. Amen. The title for today's message, from the passage that Elder has read, is the Blessing of Beersheba. Blessing of Beersheba. We're waiting to enter into 2019. And it is a big move for us, spiritually and physically. And in today's passage, it begins by saying, then he went up from there to Beersheba. I pray that in year 2019, as we move from 2018 to 2019, may we move into the spiritual state of Beersheba. Amen. You might be wondering, what's the spiritual state of Beersheba? What does it mean to go up to Beersheba? First point, Beersheba was where Isaac's father Abraham made a covenant, and it was where Abraham's wells were. Abraham's wells. In Genesis 21, verse 33, Genesis chapter 21, verse 33, it says, Abraham planted a tamarisk tree, in Hebrew it's ezer tree, at Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And it is a place where Abraham made a covenant with Abimelech, the king that was back then, who had ownership of that land. But Abraham purchased that place and made a covenant with this king Abimelech, and planted a tree, ezer tree. Ezer means help. So the tree was emblematic of the Lord's help, and he called upon the name of the Lord. And there he found 7 wells. Okay? And we have learned through the different Bible studies and through History of Redemption series what 7 wells mean according to the historical context and the culture of Israel back then and in the biblical sense. Beersheba, Sheba is 7. Beer is well, 7 wells. And during that time, and even throughout the Bible, and even today, 7. What does the number 7 mean? 777, lucky number. In the Bible, 7 means completion, perfection. It's complete. And so when we see number 7 in the Bible, it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It signifies the fullness of God's time, signifies fulfillment of God's work and covenant. How many covenants did God make with Abraham? 7 covenants. So it's 7 in number, but then they all become one whole, complete covenant. And therefore, 7 wells. What does well signify in the Bible and throughout especially during their time in Israel? Well represents a source of life. Of course, it's a source of water. But during that time and in that region, there was no, pipes that will bring you water. There was no tap water. The only source of water is either a river, a body of water, or well. And so everywhere they went, first thing they needed to do was to dig a well to see if there's a source of water. And if there's well water springing up, that means you can live there. If there's no well, it's not a place for living. Right? But biblically, even from the Garden of Eden, there were 4 rivers. Okay? There was one river in the Garden of Eden, came out of Garden of Eden and became 4 rivers. Okay? Throughout the Bible, there is mention or the livelihood of God's people are around waters, and there's a lot of spiritual significance of different bodies of water. But the Israelites, and in the biblical sense, there is something called Ma'im Chaim. Okay? Ma'im Chaim means, Ma'im is water, Chaim is life, water of life that God provides. And even in the temple of Ezekiel, the heavenly temple, there's water flowing out of the temple that will go fill the earth and the sea and the bodies, even the dead bodies, skulls, bones. When the water touches them, they're rejuvenated, they're revived, their life comes back. And so this water represents a source of life. And in today's term, where do you find this source of life? Where do you find your source of life? Bank? Where do you find your source of life? Restaurants? Kitchen? Food? Okay. Spiritually, I believe church is the well of God. Our Zion Church, I pray, is a well that provides the water of life. Amen? And so, 7 wells, meaning it's inclusive, it's symbolizing the entire history of God's church. And the center of that church history is Jesus Christ. So 7 wells basically represents and foreshadows who? Jesus Christ. So moving to Beersheba means moving to where you can find Jesus. Right? And so let us turn to John chapter 4, verse 14. John chapter 4, verse 14. Even Jesus' ministry in his life, many times it was centered around waters and wells. Jacob, remember in the Old Testament times, Jacob met Rachel where? At the well. I pray that you may find your love at the well. I'm not talking about, you're not thinking different kinds of love. You love with Jesus Christ, right? Okay. And then Jesus came to the well in John chapter 4 and met a woman. Not like Jacob and Rachel, husband and wife love, but then that woman found true love. She was living a life where she kept on being rejected, disappointed. She had 5 husbands before, and she was living with the 6th one. But now she found the true love of Jesus Christ, right, at the well. And so this is what Jesus says. John chapter 4, verse 14. He says to the woman, can you fetch me some water from the well? And then he says, but whoever drinks of the water that I will give him shall never thirst. But the water that I will give him will become in him a well of water springing up to eternal life. So the word and the life that Jesus gives, that becomes the well in us. That springs up to eternal life. I pray that you may be able to find that well in your life. I pray in year 2019, you move to a place where you can find that well that will spring up to eternal life. Amen. Isaiah chapter 12, verse 3 also. Isaiah 12:3. Therefore, you will joyously draw water from the springs of salvation. This well is speaking about the springs of water, and Isaiah compares it to springs of salvation. And pray, and let us pray that Zion Church will be the place where complete well, 7 wells will be found for many people.
Amen.
Secondly, Isaac moved to Beersheba through difficult times. Moving to Beersheba was not a very casual, easy thing to do for Isaac. Throughout Genesis chapter 26, especially from verse 17. From verse 17, I'll read. And we have to understand, Isaac moved away from the promised land where he was living with his father. Moved away because of the famine and moved down to Gerar, which was the land of the Philistines during that time. Okay? And I'll read from verse 17. And Isaac departed from there and camped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Then Isaac dug again the wells of water which had been dug in the days of his father Abraham. For the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. And he gave them the same names which his father had given them. But when Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there a well of flowing water, the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with the herdsmen of Isaac and said, saying, "The water is ours." So he named the well Esek, because they contended with him. Then they dug another well, and they quarreled over it too, so he named it Sitnah. He moved away from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he named it Rehoboth. For he said, "At last the Lord has made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land." Now, as I mentioned earlier, water well was the source of life. Not only we are speaking spiritually here, but then during that time, physically, it was a source of life because without water, have you ever been to Middle East or Israel, Palestine, that area? Imagine as hot or hotter than here, but dry, right? And so, without a source of water, they will not last a day. And so and also they need that water to farm and make their living. So it was a source of their income, source of their life, source of basically a very most important thing that they needed to have. Kind of like source of money today, physically. And so Isaac went down and found these wells that his father had dug before. Right? And so he goes and names the wells the same way, and he digs those wells, and then one came out. Have you ever tried to dig a well before? Anybody? No? No? Okay. Well, I have not done it myself, but I have seen wells being dug. Okay, nowadays they have those huge machinery that will drill down how many meters? 200 meters, 300 meters down the earth. But back then, I don't think they had those drills. Imagine taking a shovel and digging under, not even knowing where to dig. Okay? Digging the ground until water comes out. Easy or not easy? Well, I mentioned, well, is like church. So it's kind of like establishing a church, founding a church. It's that hard. It's not easy. So Isaac and his servants dug a well and succeeded in finding this water, source of life, source of water. But funny thing is, these Philistines, they waited. They waited until Isaac finished digging and found water. Then they came and said, "This belongs to us." Can you imagine? You spent all your money, all your time, all your effort, and finally it's there. And the Philistines come and say, "It's ours." Rather than fighting, Isaac leaves, but names that place Esek. meaning contention or quarreling. He leaves and he digs another one. Genesis chapter 26, verse 21. They dug another well and they quarreled over it too. So he named it Sitna, meaning enmity. So he goes again to another place and digs, and God blesses him every time he digs. It's there. Why? Because Abraham had already found those places. So for us, we just need to follow what Abraham has set up, what Jesus has set up. We just follow the footsteps of Jesus, and He will provide us with this amazing grace, one after another. Who is our enemy? Satan and devil. They claim possession of whatever we try to do. They claim possession. When amazing blessing of God is given to us, Satan tries to claim possession over it. But then, we don't have to fear, because God will continue to bless us. Well, after Esek, after Sitna, God blessed Isaac and Rehoboth. Rehoboth, there, no more. Basically, Isaac finally found a place where Philistines will not come and bother him anymore. And so it's a place of safety, place of peace. And now, he said, at last, the Lord has made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land. Amen? Amen. So do you want to stay at Rehoboth? The problem is, today's passage, that's verse 22, right? We have to move on to verse 23, today's passage. What does today's passage say? Then he went up from there. From there is Rehoboth. Then he went up from there to Beersheba. Why would you want to leave Rehoboth? We feel comfortable. There's not much, the Philistines are not bothering me anymore. Feel comfortable, have enough water, enough land, enough room. Right? Why move on? You might be here where we feel comfortable, especially in the worldly terms. Where we feel like, wow, now I've settled down. My income's going up a little bit. That's our Rehoboth. That might be your 2018. But what made Isaac move again? Was he addicted to moving? Why would you want to move again? He went to Beersheba because he realized that's the place of God's covenant. I pray that our move, and we can also think about our church move too here, but mainly about our life. We are making a move from 2018 to 2019. Which direction are you going to go? Which direction? Let's go to Beersheba, where our Father's covenant is. Beersheba is 7 covenants. 7 covenants. Perfect covenant is called oath. It's a place of 7 wells. Place where Abraham has set up a tree. For us, a place where the tree of the cross stands. A place where Jesus completed the covenant. Where is that? We're not speaking location-wise. We're not speaking physical direction. We're speaking about the state of our hearts, the focus and purpose of our lives. And so he moves to Beersheba. What would you feel like? Beersheba, all the wells are plugged up also. And you've been digging wells so far. And would you want to move and do it again? Yeah? Yeah, great. Because I'd be tired. I would be tired. I would be like, move again. We settle down here. Now, there's nobody bothering us. Have to move again? Why? And justification is a big reason, a big stumbling block for me. Why do we have to move? But Isaac believed and knew that's the place where I can be with God. No matter how good the conditions are, wherever we may be, if God says, I will meet you there, I want you to come over there, that's where we need to go. And so he moved to Beersheba, probably have some fear. I'll explain to you why he must have had fear there. And probably not so confident about what kind of living he would have to lead. No water there. In comparison to Rehoboth, it's so nice over here. But so comfortable. Finally settled down. But then to go. When he went, so up to now, he did not hear much of God's voice when he was in Gerar, in the land of the Philistines. But finally, when he moved in today's passage, the Lord spoke to him and blessed him. I pray that we may be able to move to a place where God will speak to us. Why do you think God spoke to him? He's happy now. He's happy that Isaac finally came to be with him. So as a third point, after coming to Beersheba, Isaac received 3 blessings. And I pray that we may also receive these same blessings. What are they? First, the blessing of meeting God. Genesis chapter 26, verses 23 through 24, today's passage. Then he went up from there to Beersheba. The Lord appeared to him. The same night. When he arrived, the Lord appeared to him. He did not only speak to him, the Lord appeared to him. When we move into 2019 in obedience, or even today, when we move into our spiritual Beersheba, and when we move into our new place, I pray that the Lord will appear to us. I pray that it will be a place where we can meet with God. And he said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. Wow. Have you heard this before? This is a covenant that God gave to Abraham, and now to Isaac. And later in Bethel, Jacob meets God, and God tells him the same thing, I will be with you. So far, he has been going through many difficulties and worries and concerns because of the Philistines. But now God says, here, now I will be with you. We might be concerned about many different things, especially as we move into year 2019. In year 2018, we still feel like the Philistines are after us. We still feel like my trouble, my problem, my financial problem, my health problem, all these things are still not completely resolved. Going into 2019, are you more excited or are you more concerned? There's going to be inflation of the economy is not going to be so good. We're only getting 1 year older, and I still have my body's still aching, and not much change that I experienced in 2018. It's not that my bank account is just multiplying day by day. That's not happening. Are you excited? Am I the only pessimistic man here? Excited, amen. Amen. Why? Excited because finally, I'm speaking about Isaac here. I believe he was excited. Even though he was leaving Rehoboth behind, finally, why? He's coming back to Father's house. He's coming back to where his father Abraham had set up 7 wells. The place that his father had been talking about. Finally, he's going in. He's not secure about anything. There's no job there. There's no relatives there probably, but he's going back. And that's because he believes that God is there. Of course, God is everywhere, but especially the promise, covenant of God is there. So he's excited. And lo and behold, when he arrived, that same night, God appeared to him, saying, "Welcome, my son. I will be with you. Do not fear anything." I pray that we may hear the same thing as we are preparing to enter into 2019. What we don't see, we human beings, we tend to worry about things that we cannot see, especially about the future. Am I still going to be alive or healthy? Am I still going to do well? Or what's going to happen to me 2019? But then God says, "Do not fear. I will be with you." God will be with you today, tomorrow, and until eternity. Amen? Jeremiah 6:16. Thus says the Lord, "Stand by the ways and see and ask for the ancient paths, where the good way is, and walk in it. And you will find rest for your souls." But they said, "We will not walk in it." May we say, we will walk in it. Second blessing that you received. First blessing was to meet with God. Second blessing, reconfirmation of the covenant. I mentioned it already. But he receives reconfirmation of the covenant of his father, Abraham. Now, it's not only the father, Abraham, but he directly received that covenant from God. Do you know why Isaac was afraid to go to Beersheba? Do you remember what happened at Beersheba? We studied about Abraham's journey, life journey, 10 places where he lived. Beersheba is number 9. Now, you get it? Do you remember? Does it ring a bell? What happened in Beersheba? When Isaac used to live there in Beersheba, and when he was living there, God told his dad, "Go sacrifice Isaac." Would you want to, is your hair standing up? Would you want to go back to that place? It's a place where God wanted to kill you. It's a place where God required of you sacrifice of your life. And he didn't even tell you about it. He didn't even discuss with you about it. He told your dad, "Go sacrifice you." Sacrifice your son. That's that place. Imagine Isaac is trying to go back to that place. But then, maybe overcoming that initial fear, maybe Beersheba was not a place of great fear. It was a place that reminded him of the faith, amazing faith and glory that God has shown him. Many of us have been Christians for many years. But we need sometimes God to remind us of the first place where we met God. Remind us of the first love. Reconfirming. Remember, Isaac? Remember? You had that faith in your father, and I recognized you. From there, your journey began. Remember? I pray that God will tell you today, remember? The first time we met, the first time you had faith, the first time you ever gave me a gift or confessed your faith to me, that's Beersheba. Isaac was able to go back. Although there might have been some fear, at the same time, his faith was renewed, refreshed. His first love was restored. I pray that year 2019 will be that kind of year. when our faith is refreshed, renewed, and multiplied. Third blessing is a guarantee of life. So Isaac went there. After hearing the voice of God, he built an altar there, basically worship, and called upon the name of the Lord and pitched his tent there. So first thing was receive God's voice, heard God's voice, and met God, and then worshipped Him, and then set up tent there. What's the order? Worship comes before my setting up the tent here. And Isaac's servants dug a well. During that time, digging a well is like establishing business, finding a source of income. But spiritually, dug a well. Here, God gives a new grace. Of course, they were digging the well in the same way they did before. But this well was eternal well, provided guaranteed life and success for Isaac and his family for the rest of his life. How great would it be if we can find a well that will give us success for the rest of our life, that will give us health for the rest of our life, that will give us eternal life. It was not easy. It was difficult. He had to reinvest. He had to start all over again. However, this time, he dug, and the result was not one well. How many wells? 7 wells. We received the 7 times the blessing. I pray that everyone who is really praying for the church and for God's will, and giving our efforts in doing God's work in the church. And also, I believe that everyone is really giving their best effort in time-wise, offering-wise, and prayer for the new church that we are moving to. I pray and believe that God will give you the blessing 7 times. Are you disappointed? You want me to say 100 times? But 7 times means not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you give $1, you will receive $7 back. No. 7 times blessing is complete blessing of God's spiritual and physical blessings. 7 times of blessing means fullness of God's time, completion, fulfillment of God's covenant. So in your life and within your time, being able to see the fulfillment of God's work, being able to experience the fullness of God's time and fulfillment of God's will. May Zion Church become the church that provides the water of life. And so may Zion Church become like Ezekiel's temple in the Bible, where the water continues to come out, and every dead soul or body, everything that touches this water will come back to life. I pray that everyone who comes to Zion Church will receive life and restoration and revival, new strength. And I pray that the new place that we are moving to will become the spiritual Beersheba, 7 wells. And may each of your family and each of you in year 2019, or we don't have to wait until 2019, from today, may you become the Beersheba, where God's 7 covenants dwell and bless you. Let us pray.